Hello, it's March 5th. I'm outside in the snow at a place where I saw, just in a video I made, I was watching my old videos from 2017, trying to pick my songs for my last album of these 12 and being overly thorough for no real reason. Ooh, it's too cold to be outside. Anyway, it's pretty. Going back in. Ugh. Okay. Anyway, so I was watching it and I forgot about this spot. And then this morning I woke up randomly at 4 a.m. I've had a really busy bit of time and I went to bed way earlier than usual last night. So I woke up really crazy early and I was like, I never see sunrises anymore. So I just thought I'd go out for a drive. So anyway, not that it's 4 a.m. It's 6:56. All right. Well, I mean, you know, not a slacker either. I teach till sometimes as late as like 9:30 some nights. So, I mean, done with that defensiveness anyway. Like, if you think I'm a slacker, you're crazy. So, because I don't actually have to be doing any of what I do for money. I would say 90% of the work that I'm doing in my life is unpaid or low paid. And by low paid, I mean like less than $1 an hour. So yeah, internal drive and whatnot. All right, this is real pixely and grainy. Okay, well, there's some nature. There's Brian's cute little Prius. Yeah. I might just tack this at the end of the long check-in video I made, or maybe I'll post this. I don't know if I'll post this. I don't know what this is. Just documenting time, being alive. I suppose I could talk about, we did a podcast last night for Cloudlight with our friend Danny Bruick, and it's called What's Up with Danny. And it was cool. We played a song, like an acoustic version. I used my like old 80s Casio. Well, yeah. I mean, it wasn't, I hesitate because I replaced it on eBay because mine broke. But, so it's not my exact one, but, you know. But it is the same model. Yeah, got to play on that. Brian played acoustic. Kenzie played acoustic mandolin, and Travis played cajon. So it was fun. Yeah, and we just talked for like an hour. It was crazy. Yeah, a little stressful because it's like you don't know what you're gonna be asked, and then you start talking and you don't know what you're gonna say, and it's like a little scary to know that it's being preserved and recorded. But then, you know, usually I just try to hold on to the comfort of like, I don't know if that many people would listen to these. So it's like, I can't imagine the pressure that some people have of like knowing a lot of people will be listening, and sort of just like how that influences or affects every word you say, or whether or not you perceive certain things that you do or say as like a mistake or I don't know. I'm trying to learn to become okay with that, not out of any expectation or sense of need for my life to be different, other than, I mean, money, I guess. But, you know, sometimes it's confusing to work so hard and be so, I mean, I'm not broke. I'm not poor. I have like 30 plus piano students, but I'm not affluent. I'm month to month. And, you know, I have pretty hefty grad school debt. So it is always a curiosity what that would be like to be on a different end of the spectrum, or not even just a little bit over, you know, not an whole different end. But I don't know. My guess, if I had to guess, I feel like I'm on the third tangent and I have no idea how to find my way back. But if I had to guess what having more money or affluence or influence or power felt like, is that it would just feel like an increased sense of responsibility. Like it would feel like the more money you have, the more situations that you'd be able to be helpful, but also that's the more decisions you would have to make, and the more thoughts you would have to have bouncing around in your brain. And like already for me, like we do, you know, 1 or 2 house shows every season. And that's organizing anywhere from 4 to 10 of our, friends or acquaintances, people that we know or admire. Sometimes we help out touring bands. And I love doing that. Like, I'm all in. Like, it's so much fun to organize and help out different musicians, and then also get to have a concert in our own home. It's a complete labor of love. We put money into it and we don't take any out, and we put money into it, like, as in, like, we get snacks and drinks for the performers, and we like last time I made cookies for all the guests or things like that. But, like, we put out tea and coffee for everyone, but it's not like a big time or money. Well, it is a big time. It's not a big money investment, whatever. But I love it. But, like, sometimes I think, like, I've had to grow. Oh, this sounds weird, but whatever. It's true. I've had to grow as a person to be able to manage all of that without that feeling like a stressor. Like, I manage all of it because I love it, but I wouldn't do it, I don't think, if it felt like just unending anxiety. And I wonder sometimes, there's things I've read in spiritual books, like, about that we're given kind of what we can handle or what is right for our flow, or that we vibrate at a certain frequency and that's what we attract. I mean, whichever philosophy or system you want to believe in, I can see that it's true, because, like, if you're operating at your max capacity of what's comfortable for you, and what you're already operating at is causing you tons of anxiety, how could you take on any more without dropping balls and being stressed all the time? So I think, like, I'm grateful to have different beliefs and different comforts, and that kind of help me understand the different levels that I've been at in my life, to kind of understand that there have been chapters in my life where I couldn't even book shows. I think I had 1 year when I was living in Chicago where I played 1 show, and that was once I had already released an album that I really cared about, and it was just what I was going through at the time. There were some personal things I was going through that were heavy, and then also there was some healing and growth, regrowth and growth, both, that I was going through. I was, like, one thing that comes to mind, I was doing an Artist Way workshop with a social worker who wanted to, like, transition, I think, into doing more work with creative people. And so she was, like, hosting this workshop that was weekly. I think it was 6 weeks, and then again there was a break, and then another 6 weeks. And The Artist Way is a book that's broken into, like, 12 chapters, but the chapters are dense. Like, oh my gosh, my phone is full because I've been taking videos all the time again. But I'm still too excited and I want to keep talking. So, oh my gosh, I'm giving myself a lot of video editing work. I'm realizing I never uploaded the one from my hike 2 days ago either. Oh boy. Well, anyway, I'll just wrap that up. But basically, The Artist Way is this incredible book. If you are a person who has been more creative than you currently are, and you don't understand it, and you feel like there's something wrong with you, and you just don't feel that joyful, youthful, childlike, or teen-like, maybe you wrote depressing songs when you were a teenager, maybe you made art when you were in college that was really expressive, and now you don't feel like an expressive person at all, like, whatever it may be, this book is, like, I mean, yeah, I was going to say brilliant, but I'm bordering on my genius. Like, this book changed me. And I'm not saying I believe in all of the words. I don't even necessarily believe 100% in all the chapters. Some of it glorifies things that don't make sense to glorify, and some of it doesn't talk enough about other things to me. But, and it has, like, an almost cult following. It wasn't even the first book I read by her. The first one I read by her was called The Right to Write, and that was also incredible. She just has a really wise and loving, self-loving and others-loving philosophy on what it is to be a creative person. So, oh, and she believes we're all creative people. I mean, just in the sense that, we're born, we're little seeds, and then we become self-conscious. And as we become self-conscious, not in a negative way, as we become conscious of ourselves, we evolve, we blossom, we grow. And as we're doing that, we create things.
We create memories with friends. We create, projects for school. We are all constantly creating. And so this idea that there are some types of creativity that are that are higher art, and that there are other types of creativity that aren't. No, I mean, to be fair, I'm not saying literally, well, I am saying literally everything you do is always creative. I really do believe that. Like, every word I'm saying is creative. And your choice to listen to me talking right now is creative. Your choice to turn it off because I'm talking too much is creative. Like, you're creating a life based on what resonates with you, what doesn't, what stirs your soul in a good way. Maybe certain things I say stir you up in a bad way and make you feel defensive, and you don't like someone like me because of that. Maybe I just don't resonate with you at all. Maybe I use too many words and that's overwhelming to your spirit. Maybe, there's so many millions of different scenarios or ways of variety that even the way we choose our input, like people that I know that I think of as like a researcher soul, like people who really love absorbing input, taking in the world, taking in other people's creations. I know people who devote their whole lives to running like DIY music venues, and they just, it's like a relentless drive in them to absorb more and more, and not just from one artist, but like from every artist they can. They're just constantly, they crave it. And to me, that's like having like a researcher soul. They become very curious and interested in what everyone is doing, and it's beautiful. And that is creative. And that, it's just that myth that there are creative people creating art, and then there are other people who are quote-unquote not creative. It makes no sense to me. We're literally all building and sculpting a life path, and, I really can't imagine any life path that someone could argue is not creative. So, if that resonates with you, this book might help you. I mean, you might read it and think that it's trying to get, this is the part I don't love about it. Some spots, you might feel like it's trying to just get you to go back to doing art projects or writing songs or poetry or something, or plays, or, because that is the main thrust of it. But as far as just getting people unblocked and feeling a sense of flow, like you have an inner compass, like inside of you is a compass that you either are in touch with, out of touch with, or kind of neutral with. Most of us are like doing a dance with it. I feel a lot of the times like my life unfolds kind of like I'm dancing with ideas mixed with time. And I would say the best visual for kind of how my ideas and inspiration come at me, how I share them, it'd be like weaving. Like they kind of feel like they come out of the air or come out of, somewhere into my brain or into my being. And then, it's like a string, and then if you grab that string, you might start to work with it, but then you might hold it for a minute while another string starts coming in, and then you hold that one, and maybe you do something with that for a second, and then another one, and the number of strings that I can handle at any given time is different based on my energy or my well-being. I haven't been sick much lately, knock on wood. Not in quite a while. But, don't knock on wood. I don't even have any wood around. I used to do the joke of knocking on my head. This is not interesting. Oh my gosh. But the weaving idea. So, if that resonates with you, that is an image that makes a lot of sense to me. I think a lot of times people throw themselves way off track because they're busy trying to turn things that are not linear into linear things. And so people will say, well, I'm just going to set this goal and have this agenda and do this thing, and I'm going to do it exactly like this, and then it will get done. And then I'll check it off my to-do list. And I don't know that that's how life ever feels. We can achieve a goal, but usually in the process of achieving one goal, we get an idea for another goal that's similar or related or bigger or more in line with what we really want, but that one was a stepping stone or a stepping string or I don't know. I just feel like we really can't, you can't finish things. Like you can't end the process unless, because whatever you're becoming in the process is becoming more excited about life or more creative or just more involved in life. Whatever it is that you're becoming is the opposite of moving towards complete stillness and peace and non-doing. which, you know, I grew up on a lot of, well, not grew up on, but my early college years were studying a lot of Taoism and a little Buddhism too, and I still believe deeply in that. I found a lot of peace in calming all of this down, and to the point where I had almost no ambition, even though I had grown up as a kid that had, you know, won or lost, you know, piano competitions and songwriting, I don't know if they were competitions, but like there were these little PTA things, and I won these little like statewide songwriting awards, and I remember what that did for my confidence for those 3 years, and then on the 4th year when I entered and didn't win, I remember how that kind of rocked my concept of my, I don't know, value, I guess, and to this day, not to bounce around so many topics, well, exactly, to bounce around so many topics, I don't intentionally mean to do it, but I do think this point is also valuable, and I don't talk about this enough, but to this day, that's why I don't like competition. It's not because I don't like acknowledging that some people are excelling or succeeding in ways that other people maybe aren't, especially if it's effort-related. I don't like acknowledging people for talent or innate things or like praising IQ or something, but I really love, wait, where am I going with that? Oh, well, oh my goodness, I'm interrupting my own interruption. This is painful. So, you know, if somebody has natural talents and strengths, that usually, I've just read in multiple places that it doesn't help them to overly praise natural, innate, I don't want to say abilities, because most abilities are taught, to praise talent, basically, or just anything, because that's a passive thing. Like, if someone just happens to naturally learn quickly, like, that's great, but you should still focus on praising them for the hard work that they're doing, because then they'll be given an active thing that they can focus their energy and attention on. And I think I had a lot of attention given to me for being so talented and not for the hard work I was doing. And a lot of people, I'm sure, were praising me for my hard work too, but I think I grew up with a kind of lopsided, backwards concept that if things didn't come easily or quickly, that meant there was something wrong with me, rather than that meant I had come across something that I wasn't good at yet, and then that was a challenge I could rise to. So for some reason, I internalized those little awards as like something I was good at just by being me. And that's madness. That's completely crazy. Like when I was 5 years old or 6 years old, I sung in the talent show. And the fact that I was like picked to do that in my school kind of stayed with me in this like ghost-like way of like, whoa, I just already came into school as someone who people picked to do something. And then it's just like if things didn't after that come as easily or as naturally, I thought there was something wrong with me or something wrong with what I did. Rather than just thinking, you know, that was a cute experience. I sang a song called Me, Myself, and I in the kindergarten, what do you call it, talent show. And some of my friends, one of my neighbors who lived down the street, I think she was in 5th grade, so I was very enamored by how cool she was. They did like a backward roller skating routine or something in the gym, and that was so cool. That felt so much cooler than me. I looked up to her so much. It was like to a Lionel Richie song. I think it was the Hello, but I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah. So that's a tangent. Now I don't know where it's coming from, but yeah. Ambition, awards, praising people for hard work, everyone's creative. These are all things that it's funny because I was also writing an email to all of my piano families, as I call them, but, you know, the families of my piano students. And, sorry, coffee time. But yeah, I was writing this email, and I really talked about that idea that, like, I like being a flexible teacher, and I like trying to find ways for everyone to achieve their personal goals and to find personal growth. Because I'm one of those teachers who, like, I'll teach someone even if they don't want to play in piano recitals, or if I don't do competition. Oh, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, how I feel about competition. Okay, I do want to get back to that because that was so damaging to me, and I can't figure out. I think it's just worth talking about in society. Like, is something like American Idol, or The Voice, or local level, state level, regional level, piano competitions. I mean, I could get into sports too. Are any of those things? I love that they're challenging the kids, and I love that they're making people try to rise to something. I think that's amazing. But what I don't like is that, so for instance, if I take myself as an example, which I try to do so that I'm not either A, speculating or using other people's lives as examples. Even when somebody comes to me for advice, I refer to myself, even though that used to make me fear being narcissistic, which maybe I just am. But also, I don't think I'm narcissistic in that way. That sounds terrible. I wrestled with that for a very long time, and that's one of the reasons I didn't want to put out too many albums. Like, I can't understand the reason why so much music is moving through me and not as much as moving through other people, and, like, that's not mine to understand. And, maybe those who take the time to really listen to it will put me in the Emily Dickinson category someday, which used to be very inspiring to me for some strange reason, because others would find this horrifying. But someone told me that she wrote so many poems, but only a couple were famous, and the rest were considered to be really awful. And I think that was inspiring to me because I just felt like, well, cool, that's allowed. This is a long time ago that I heard about her doing that, and I felt this sense of like, cool, it's allowed to just create a con and let other people decide which top 3 are great and decide that your other stuff isn't, because that's where I was getting blocked all the time. I was blocked because I felt like the world was asking me, mind you, a prolific person. I've been prolific since I was a kid, but even more so after I did all these challenges. One's called the 50-90 Challenge, and one is called FALM, February Album Writing Month, and both just made the faucet go on in me even stronger and basically lose my ability to critique myself. At least, it's not that I'm not critiquing it, it's just to critique it enough to not share it or not put it out there. Or, really putting things out there was only in the last couple of years. But, like, to this degree. But, I don't remember where I was going with that. So, anyway, let's go back to competition. So competition, what it did for me, and yes, why I'm talking about myself. I mean, whatever. If you're listening to this, you obviously don't mind that I talk about myself. So let's be done with that. Going on. What competition did for me, so for instance, winning competitions, which I did a lot of up until like 6th grade, or winning attention, winning. I won the artistic trophy. I split it with someone who became a friend of mine later, and my brother had won it the year before, but they called it the Renaissance Award at my elementary school, and my elementary school was called Fine Arts Elementary, so that gives you a picture, and it was a public school, but we just did so much creative stuff there. It was a genius school. If every kid who was interested in music or art or dance or any of those could have had that experience, like, it basically scarred me because then middle school didn't measure up, and either did high school, and in some ways either did college. There's a lot of things where it's just, I didn't feel like I was as nurtured in other places, and like, I don't know. Anyway, that's a whole other tangent. But, winning that Renaissance Award, which said, out of all these people, I was one of the most creative and good at the arts, and it's just like, why stand in front of a group of hundreds of kids and say that these 2, or this one, my brother's here, but my year was split with 2, which that alone had a component of shame to it, like, my brother got his fully for him, and I split mine, so I must be less creative than my brother, rather than think they couldn't decide because one other kid out of all these hundreds also deserves to be acknowledged, which he is a brilliant singer, and he's not in the arts now, but we're actually well, that's a long, but maybe that's too personal. Anyway. But Peter. Hi, Peter. And I'm sure you'll never hear this. But why have that feel like a slight? It's like if someone says, it's a tie, after all the American Idol things, why should the person who tied feel less like they won? It just means 2 people got to be acknowledged. I mean, it's just horrifying to me what competition is doing. I mean, it's kind of a microcosm for all of humanity. Like, I don't like that that's what all of our fragmented souls essentially are. That we are basically, the way I see it, one beautiful, connected, interwoven spirit that, we have the potential to all really understand each other and relate to each other, but by being divided into tiny little beings, fragmented all over this earth, we think we're at war with each other, and competition is just a pretty or cute way of looking at it, so that we don't have to look at our own just naturally violent, self-serving natures. And violent sounds like I'm being extreme, I think, but it is violent. It is violent to say, to raise a child from a young age. Not that that's what happened to me. I think my parents fell into it as much as I did. It was just that when people try to compliment you or give you awards, it's not like you're going to be like, no, we don't believe in honoring our child for her hard work or any good or cute things that she did. No one's going to say that. Of course you take the award and you go, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Duh. So there's nothing wrong with my parents for thinking that had value, and I don't think there was anything wrong with me thinking it had value. But the reason that I feel like I have a unique platform to say, well, not unique above anyone else that's had this experience, but the reason I think it's important for someone like me to say, competition doesn't have value is because not that it doesn't have value. I just feel like I saw the dark side of having been praised. So it's kind of like, what happens to child stars. I wasn't in the era of kids going on YouTube and becoming Justin Bieber. I was in an era where it all happened socially within your community, and already being in the paper or already driving up to other little cities all over Wisconsin to receive my award for a statewide songwriting award, and being written up in the paper or having people put on school-wide concerts for my songs, which that's a whole other long story, but that began for different, much more beautiful reasons than just winning some award. And had I been able to focus on that, helping a school heal from a death of a friend of ours in 5th grade, her name was Sarah Lowe, and she died of a brain tumor, and it was very sudden to all of us. And I didn't even know what that was, nor did I even really have a concept of death. And it completely changed me. And I'm sure it changed a lot of people at that school. And so I was able to write a song for her and then share that with the school, and then share a few other songs too, And had it been left at that, rather than turn into something about awards or how great I was, I think it could have been a more healing experience for everyone, rather than kind of prop me up in the process. But, and then going into middle school, partly with different crowds, people got wind of it, and then being asked to put on more school-wide concerts. And it's just that level of fame for a 6th grader is not actually good. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to criticize. That was actually very hard for me, because then when some social things went wrong, or people kind of singled me out, or maybe I was behaving badly. I really don't know. Maybe I did get full of myself. It's hard. I don't remember what it felt like 100% to be that age. I know I was excited, obviously not about the sad things that happened, but when people were treating me like I had value, of course I enjoyed that. But in my view, and there were lots of piano competitions along the way, and ways that people were giving me 1-star ratings and telling me I was so great, and I was first chair at flute, and just, in my opinion, whatever that did for me, it did more harm than good, in my view, because I still would have been the same person. Maybe if there was a way to give me personal challenges so that I could achieve personal goals, rather than lifting me up above others. I remember by 7th and 8th grade, I was so insanely lost. And part of it was related to 8th grade, having been rejected from. So I won the statewide songwriting award through the Wisconsin State PTA 3 years in a row. And then in 8th grade when I submitted, which could have been the 4th year, I think in 7th grade they advanced it, and it didn't win the national one or the regional one. And I remember already starting to have thoughts well, what's wrong with me? Because winning at the state level wasn't enough anymore. Like that I didn't feel valid because I won at the state level, but then I failed, as I perceived it, at the regional or national level. And then in 8th grade, when I didn't even win at the state level, I was horrified. Like, literally horrified. I didn't know how to think the thought, well, maybe someone else won. You know, and not just maybe, someone else did it. Like, what's wrong with the universe or that committee or, you know, God, whatever you believe, what's wrong with someone else getting a chance to shine? Like, that's not taught. So then I had all these really big emotions at a young age, all because of competition, propping me up and making me feel like I was, I mean, I hate to say it, but making me feel special. And the ways that people talk about participation trophies like they're bad, I'm like, I kind of want to say the opposite is true. Like, propping people up for their hard work and absolutely glorifying them raises them up to a standard that, I don't know, I don't even know if it's about a standard. I don't see the logic in propping just one person up in any community on any subject. What does that do for everyone else's self-esteem? And if I'm telling you what did that do for my self-esteem, the second I didn't keep winning, it didn't help my self-esteem either. So it doesn't help the self-esteem of people that are feeling smaller than or less than while I'm being propped up. And then once I'm not being propped up anymore, it didn't help my self-esteem either. So none of us win. Like, this is not being talked about as far as I know in society. We talk about famous people, and we talk about people who win the Olympics, and we talk about people who win. But, like, why are we not talking about the losers? And I don't just mean, like, why is that a bad word? I don't know. I'm really, this is what my boyfriend would call my version of anger. But this is actually pretty loud, I think, for me and for anyone. Like, 99.9% of us, or 99.9999999% of us are going to feel like we're actually lose. Throughout our whole lives, we're going to keep losing. We're going to fail. We're going to let someone down or be disappointed. Like, that's going to be what keeps happening, even if we previously were winners on some topic, and then, you know, now we lost on it, and then the loss just feels bigger. And then on top of that, we all lose when we die, because you lose everything you invested your time and your money in this lifetime. So it's like, why as a society do we distract ourselves with winning and competing when we could be, like, healing some things that maybe occur at, like, the soul level or at levels so deep that we don't even understand them? I mean, we use words, or I use words like soul or whatever, but, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I just think a profound healing could be taking place if we weren't all busy distracting ourselves. It's like an adult version of playing with toys, like the toy aisle. Like, I love toys. Actually, I bet kids are smarter than adults, because maybe toys actually have deeper meaning and purpose, and kids are using them as tools to play, act, and learn the inner truths. You know, same with the concept of imaginary friends. It's like there are probably deep inner truths that children are working out right now all around you that are far more important than, you know, than awards or structure or competitions or, I don't know. I just think there are so many things in this world that are backwards, and it'd be worthwhile if we would allow ourselves the time and space to untangle them as best we can. And this got really, really long. I have no idea how to get there. Whatever I was talking about before, and remember when I said that once I switched off videos, this part would just be short, but 26 minutes later. All right. I am going to go, and the sunrise that I came out for didn't really happen because the sky is white. I wrote a song a long time ago. It's the first line, the sky is white with shades of gray. It's just definitely that. Although the next line was, there's no color in me today, and clearly this is why I believe in personal growth so much. Like, I don't even feel like that person anymore. And, like, I just went through something really hard, like, just yesterday. But it just it doesn't sink in as deeply. It doesn't stick. Nothing hurts as bad as it used to. Nothing derails me for 6 months to a year like it used to. And this, I try to tell people this, like, this is the value of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Not for any awards, not for any prizes, not for any glory, but because you can see things. It's just because something feels true. Like, if you can see in your life that there's an area that you're stuck, what's the harm in, or what's the problem, like, what's the downside with trying to get it unstuck? Like, I just look at it as, like, emotional or spiritual or psychological acupuncture or, chiropractors or, like, going to a doctor. But the doctor is your own mind and time and love and care towards yourself. Like, it's just irrational to me to just ignore the self. It's that whole idea of the unexamined life is not a life worth living. Oh gosh, I just quoted something. I can't remember who said it. Was it Einstein? Nietzsche? I don't remember. One of them. But, yeah, that's my brain on not enough sleep, perhaps, and being up strangely early and enjoying the snowfall and this little farm town and the humming of my, well, it's not mine. Brian kind of shit cards. I bought a van for touring so that clouds I could start touring, even just small tours, local tours, stuff in the area. Local tours. That's funny. Being able to drive together, all four of us, across the state. Like, so instead of getting a car that's small, like I took one for the team in a good way. We finally figured it out. It was feeling a little too big for me. It was starting to hurt my lower back and hip and right leg because the pedals didn't feel right. I'm only 4'11", if you didn't know. But yeah, we got we got it, and I figured out I just need like a back cushion. It'll be great. But nonetheless, I still like driving the little Prius. That was our arrangement. So I drive the little Prius whenever I take if I take a solo tour or somewhere for the low gas mileage. But yeah, now we have a name. So that's why I didn't call it Brian's car. But it is Brian's car. Oh my gosh, what is this? That's my podcast. It's not a real podcast. That's my talking to myself. I hope you enjoy these. I don't know what they are. But I am going to probably continue doing them. I mean, this is like a check-in video/audio for month 12, day 5, randomly, of a challenge. But really, I think what I've just discovered in this process is just that I like talking to myself and sharing things with people, because I've spent a lot of my life dissecting all the minutiae in my brain, and it really feels helpful to not just keep that to myself anymore, to the point where I don't even really like journaling as much as I used to. Journaling feels narcissistic. This feels less narcissistic. It feels like journaling would seem less narcissistic. If I would keep all these things to myself, I wouldn't have to seem so narcissistic. And sharing them makes me appear more narcissistic. But in reality, the reverse would be true, because sharing all of these things, all these realizations, comes from like a deep sharing all of this comes from a place in me that I've had in me since I was a little kid. It comes from the same part of me that wanted to write the song for my friend who passed away. Like, I wanted to help heal that moment. I wanted to do that for the school and my friends. Like, that wasn't for me. I mean, it was probably, it's both. It's both, because I'm part of that community. I want the healing to take place for me and everyone around me, so that we all can be more comfortable with processing death or with processing grief. But I knew that when I took these challenges on 2 years ago. I'm going to say this. It's really bad. I don't like talking about this, but I'm going to say it. I don't like saying his name, but Trump is the reason I undertook this challenge. And, well, not this one, the one the year before. And it's gross to me to think that somebody so gross could be a catalyst for something that's helped my life so much. And that alone is a metaphor for all kinds of things I could unpack right now, but I won't. Because that'd be 8 tangents later and I'd forget what I was trying to say. But Trump and anyone else in his world, but probably mostly Trump, is the reason I'm doing this. I feel like he's let loose something in the world that is so dark, bordering on evil, and he's tapped into a cultural he's tapped into something that has divided people. It's obvious that he must have, if even he can get me to turn against somebody, even if the person is turning against is him, when I've been spending all this time trying to not turn against people and trying to unify. I guess I'm not really trying to unify because I'm kind of obviously against people who are engaged in competition. So I think sometimes I think I know myself and then I find I'm not even close. So there's that one for you. But I think, I wouldn't have undertaken something. The 365-day challenge was because I was losing my mind. I mean, what he said about the pageant contestant, and that came out in the news, I think, in October, right before the election. I was so horrified. Ended up putting on even more weight. I had been struggling with my weight anyway, and that's my right and my choice. It was my choice to go on a particular birth control that I didn't know if it would affect my hormones or my weight, and then when it did, as always happens to me when I try birth control, when it did, I did go off it, but I almost didn't make a music video I had been planning to make because I was horrified at having put on weight so quickly. And instead, what's happened is just this profound process that I will talk about more someday. I'm not sure I'm ready yet, but my weight has gone up and down so much in my life, and we're talking from, like rail thin to what would be considered, obese medically, and back and forth, I think like 3 times, maybe 4 in my life, and both are me, and both are true, and that's not talked about in society, but to bring it back, I'll talk about that more again another day, and I have friends on all sides of the spectrum, and I refuse to shame any of them, because I think our culture does that more than enough already. Like, it's disgusting to me to shame someone maybe who's naturally thin, or shame someone maybe who is thin but has an eating disorder. Like, even that shouldn't be shamed. Maybe they got the disorder from culture, and they shouldn't be made to feel bad for that process and experience. And I know that I've had that as well. And then, and for some people it's just a straight up choice, to value maybe working out every single day and having a Olympian body. And for other people it is a choice to not go that route, or to choose, to choose food, to choose good food, to choose going on dates with their partner and eating at Thai restaurants and eating at, and I've really been on both sides of that spectrum at different points in my life, and food has been a great comfort and a great friend through some really difficult emotions, but also it's been a joy. It's been the absolute joy of, relationships, friendships. There have been so many experiences that I've been a part of that maybe when I was valuing my own thinness, especially when I was valuing it out of fear, that I wasn't, getting to have those experiences. I turned down tons of, meaningful food moments because of that ambition and that desire. And so again, I don't want to shame either end of that belief spectrum or that approach or way of life spectrum. I really think that, and for some people it's a choice and it's like fat and happy, and for some people it is like a source of trauma. For some people, for me at some points, it has been like an invisibility cloak. I don't like talking about that too much, but performing in front of people sometimes attracts a lot of attention, and I used to attract especially about a decade ago when I was performing in Chicago for crowds of drunk people and sometimes drunk older men, I would attract a lot of unwanted attention. And for me, pretty much without a doubt, any attention that has any tinge of sexuality in it is for life, for always, going to be unwanted by me. So if you ever, for any reason, find me attractive in any way, if you find a way to focus on qualities that feel wholesome to you, just assume that I'm in the camp of, Mr. Rogers, Bob Ross, who else? And it's not to say those people don't have sex. I know that sex exists, and I know that these are good, positive, nurturing, loving things to many people, including me with a loving partner, but I'm not your gal when it comes to any topics even remotely like that, to the point of even complimenting how I look. And that's, of course, up to you. You're more than welcome to, but I may not respond with comfort because that is a big trigger for me and connected to some of my trauma. So, leaving that aside, back to trauma. Oh, but that's all relevant because, okay, coffee time. Remember, I was going to end this at 26 minutes. So, back to Trump, when he said what he said about the pageant contestant, I mean, just like everything raged in me. Just this idea that somebody who's being considered for public office, especially at that high of a level, someone who's so, I was going to say disgusting, but it's not, no human to me is disgusting so much as it's just that he is manipulative and aware that he's manipulative and like almost excited about it. Like he knows what he's doing. He's intentionally riling people up, and he loves it. And I don't understand a society that can play into that. It's why I never talk about it, because I don't want to play into it because it makes it worse. It gives him power. So me even choosing to say this now is giving him power. It's like me saying that my entire existence the last few years and all my growth is because of him, which puts the power back in his hands. And I think that's like, I don't know, there's too much madness to that. So I will say that he was the catalyst because of how much pain he caused in me, but just because something can be a catalyst for something good doesn't mean I believe in the value of that thing. And I could talk about God and the devil and free will and all kinds of stuff right now if I wanted to. Maybe I will. I don't know. Someone once told me the reason they didn't believe in God is because they couldn't understand a God that would allow drunk drivers to kill a 4-year-old. And I wrestled with that for a very long time. I've wrestled with a lot of spiritual things in my life. And I have been through phases where I felt close to being an atheist. Whereas at this point in my life, well, I won't get into that. But my point is, where I'm at with that and how this relates to how I understand what happened to me with having this dark of a catalyst in my life, is that just because, so say that happened to you, well, you probably don't want to imagine that. I regret even saying that because that made me think of people I know. So don't go imagining it. Just don't. It's not necessary for you to have this thought. But, why does God have drunk drivers kill 4-year-olds? Well, that's not, I believe that is not how God works. I don't believe that's how it works with free will. I believe that God is there to meet us with experiences and to work with them. But God didn't force that guy to get drunk and then force that guy to kill a 4-year-old. I just don't think that's how it's working. Otherwise, we would all be puppets and we'd just be doing. I think free will means we are having guidance, and many of us are overriding it. That drunk driver probably had some sort of guidance that he didn't hear or he couldn't listen to because he was too broken. And so it's like, the only way God could fix all the brokenness of the world would be to take away free will. I've never had that thought before. Weird. All right, well, I really think that's true, and I think that's how I understand God is that we work with, that just like we work with the conditions that have been given to us, God has to work with the conditions given to God. And whether you call it God or the universe, I want to not be involved in that debate. I know what I call it for me, and I apologize if me talking about it is triggering for you, but I hope instead that it is helpful for you if you're somebody who sits in the gray area like I used to. But bringing it back to Trump, whose word I've said way too many times in this, I never say his name. I used to say who I won't name, because I just don't like giving him any power. But, ugh, just to have a name that gets talked about, it's just like, he just loves that. So, yuck. I don't know. But moving on. So yeah, how could something that I perceive as wholly negative for our society end up with positive benefits? Well, the reason, in my view, comparing it to that other example, is that when somebody is going around doing things that are wholly destructive and cruel and diminishing, first of all, how somebody who is like who he is, I mean, he's like an older man. It's not like he's, a young supermodel himself. Like, how he can be so critical of someone in the pageant is beyond me. I just don't even understand where that level of arrogance and criticism of others comes from. But, okay, that was a tangent. That was just snarky, Okay, see, this is the part I don't like him to bring out of me, which is why I got involved in these challenges. So, I was feeling so much shock and rage at how he was behaving, and it was derailing my life. It was from probably around that October till December of 2016, to the point where I was saying things like, I was so upset, I was ranting on Facebook like I shouldn't have to pay for therapy to deal with PTSD or resurgence of PTSD brought upon by my future president. Like, I was so disgusted. And the PTSD is very real, so he really did flare up symptoms and traumas that had been long either buried or dealt with. And it did give me a whole new view on what PTSD even is and what trauma is, and how nothing's ever solved forever, and then that felt bleak. And, it was just really a dark chapter, and Brian was so lovely, encouraging me to just do simple things that I loved. And, not that he was saying don't feel fierce, don't be fierce, but I think he saw that I was having slowly declining breakdown. And, just being encouraged to go get, soft pretzels every day from my favorite bakery wasn't enough. And that's partly how I put on even more weight, despite my rage at him originally, And not to criticize the baker's wife where I got these pretzels. That's an amazing store, Village Bakery, too. Their pretzels are amazing. But it was my choice to go, almost every day for comfort, but where am I going with that? I guess what I'm saying is that it's possible that if this feels positive to you, if seeing me share more and be more my true self out in public feels useful to you, because like I said, I'm not saying this to be even more narcissistic or full of myself, but I really think the more narcissistic thing would be for me to just spend my life in my own journal, keeping everything to myself, lost in my head. I know it appears narcissistic to just sit and talk for an hour. I know it does. Maybe it really truly is, but that's not how I feel inside. I feel like just a person who struggles with how to structure things, but also I'm like Mr. Rogers. And so I don't know how to become a Mr. Rogers for you on weird themes that only adults would maybe understand, and also structure it into a real show. I don't know how to do that. I don't have help. I don't have anyone offering to produce me. I don't have anyone offering to do anything for me. Almost ever. And that's been a great pain in my life as well, because I used to have a lot more offers for help or involvement or collaboration. And now where I'm at, specific people that I'm around, it's usually me doing the asking and suffering a lot of rejection. Either people are too busy, or even if they do commit, then they don't follow through. And I've been learning how to push through that, and that's been a useful chapter in my life, how to just keep asking for help and ask for help and ask for help. And if I don't receive it, or I only receive 10% of the help I ask for and 90% doesn't come through, I'm just learning to become more resilient and more empathetic to how hard it is to be involved with other people's lives and take risks and challenge ourselves. But, if you know how to make shows or something, I'm a girl. I kind of want to just be the talent. And yeah, I'm always looking for creative people to help me produce things and make things. I feel like I could move a lot quicker with actual content and things that the world would understand and be able to consume if I had a team. Sort of like that music video that I did in the woods with Johnny and Caleb and Rachel. That was almost effortless for me, and they all specialized in the parts they specialize in, and so all of us were able to be fairly effortless, but bring something into the world that was much more beautiful than a lot of these lo-fi, video ran out kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of crappy little things that I do. So I feel like my ideas are good, and I feel like my songs and my songwriting is good. And even lately I've been working out and doing promoting foam rolling, but I've been using foam roller on all my tight muscles, and it's even helping my singing, which feels more relaxed. So I'm even enjoying singing more than ever, so I'm just like, I'm like ready, if you want to use me, or my band, whatever, just let us know. Otherwise, it's just more of this lo-fi scrappy stuff, I guess. But, so something negative inspiring something positive. I believe that everywhere, and I see it everywhere, this toxic, kind of hateful message that, I'll say his name one last time, Trump decided to spread in the world in order to win votes or grow his brand, or I don't think he even wanted to win, but to make money, this hateful message that he spread in the world, it caught fire with other hateful people. I've met Trump supporters who are neutral. Dang it, I said his name one more time. I've met people who are neutral and just like his financial policies. And, that is a huge debatable topic as to whether or not that's ethically okay. Just because you like his financial policies, if you see that he's literally harming whole groups of people, I don't understand. Whatever. I have areas of hypocrisy and selfishness that are pretty profound as well, so I'm not here to criticize you. But there are some people who literally are just excited about him on this platform of hate and keeping people out and keeping people away and staying divided, and that goes back to competition topics and, our country's the greatest and other countries, blah, blah, blah. It's just it's so much good. Anyway, point being, I see that as I don't know if I want to use the word evil, but I see that as negativity, breeding darkness. It's spreading darkness. It's spreading hate. And I don't have to believe that hate is a positive thing. I don't even have to believe that hate is a useful thing, although I could. In order to acknowledge the amount of love and peace and peaceful and loving action that man has accidentally ignited in our society. And you may not be seeing it all around the world, but it is occurring. And there is a fierceness that is growing. Like a fierce type of love that has been growing. And I see it in political circles. I see it in artistic circles. I see it in a lot of people just having more passion, more of a mission, more of a desire to really promote their ideals that are light-feeling. The DIY community keeps sprouting up more and more. And I know it's always existed, but I feel a lightness coming from people who, not light versus heavy, but light as in kind or caring or nurturing. I feel it, I sense it, I see it everywhere these days, and I just never thought I would live through a period like that. And my life is just one tiny example of what is happening in that regard. I mean, it's just, and then to you, mine probably doesn't seem that tiny because I am going over the top with 12 albums in a year and 365 songs in a year, and it's just. But to me, the content isn't what's over the top so much. It's the fierceness of my desire to be on the team that's spreading love. And it's ironic that I said I don't like competition, but then there you go. There's that. But I guess the last thing I'll say on that topic is we may not want there to be teams down here. I would like to be more Taoist, perhaps, and be able to say that both the dark and the light are beautiful to me. And in a way they are. I see that swirling is going to occur and occur and occur for as long as we are here, but I don't know that I can genuinely say with a full heart that I believe in the value of that swirling of the darkness leading to more lightness, leading to more darkness, leading to more lightness. I know you don't really need to add those nesses to those grammatically, but I think the part of me that in my songs comes off as escapist is the part of me that just wants to go up and rejoin the light, and just be, I don't know, like a little piece of light in the sky. And so for that, hey, I guess that's, I don't know if that's, I don't know what to say about that. I feel like I got way too heavy. Or just, I'm trying not to criticize myself anymore. Huh? No, I'm not trying. I'm just not as interested in criticizing myself anymore. It just kind of vanished. It used to be a very conscious effort to not put myself down. Now, I just don't find it enjoyable to diminish my light to make you feel better. Because I don't want you to diminish your light to make me feel better. I don't want anyone to diminish their light. I want everyone to be as light as they feel inside. And so we're all so light that you float up into the sky. Yeah. No, I have no idea. Anyway, okay. For all I know, at this point now, it's 54 minutes. Yeah, this might not have even recorded because I don't think I would room on my phone to hold something this big. So if you're getting to hear this right now, just know that technology was on my side today. I should go on my little driving adventure. The colors are getting brighter and prettier. The gray is lifting. There's these little trees that are like a medium brown. It's like their fall leaves never fell off. It's really cute. All right. Have a lovely day. Goodbye, friends. And non-friends, people I've never met. Friends in my heart. Strangers who would be friends if we all had infinite time and could know all the people. Which we can't, so there's no shame in that. If you ever like somebody and they're not able to write you back or they're not able to connect with you, just know that it's because time is finite, and I'm sure you're a lovely person, and they would likely really love you if they didn't already have so many people in their lives. And fame or your attention in any way is a completely lopsided, horrifyingly imbalanced, artificial thing. I often wonder how the heck Mr. Rogers did it. He would get fan mail and he would respond to it and try to really nurture all those relationships. I don't know how he also did his show and had a family. And, the world is strange, but I really do love people. And whenever I'm able, I try to make space for that in my heart. But, yeah, that's a weird... the thing popping in my head that I was going to say, but then it felt really self-promoting, but then I was like, well, I should say it. But it is true. I'm going to try to get more into Patreon, if that's a platform that continues on and on in the future. Patreon.com/Jessica in the Rainbow. And that's just the place where some of my fans who like all this weird underpinning, underbelly of my life or creative life come to support me. you know, it's like $2 a month or something. Some of them pay me like $20 a month, and I send them little packages once every season of just silly things. And make little private videos and, you know, try to give them odds and ends of like lyric sheets or whatever. And whatever I feel inspired to do, I try not to make it something that feels like a chore because I'm afraid that that'll make me want to quit doing it. I try to make it very inspired, but it's hard. It's hard to balance that. But I hope to do it more and more. And, you know, that's one way. If you resonate with me and you really do want to feel like you can connect with me a little bit more, I'm for sure going to be doing more of that in the time ahead. Just because, I don't know, I have to learn to value myself enough to ask for money for all of this hard work. Not from just anyone, but from anyone who resonates with me, if they're able and want to be part of that little private community. So hopefully I'll be able to share a little more there and actually respond a little better there. I don't know. The world overwhelms me. People overwhelm me. It's nothing personal. If you have an excited energy towards me, I probably don't know how to handle it or take it in. But I do appreciate it. More than you know, to be honest. The people who have shown excitement towards me and my music and my ideas and my existence are often the people I have the hardest time relating to because I don't know how to experience that lopsided, that imbalance of how well we know each other. Like, I don't, for everyone who feels that way about me, it's often not natural or possible to really, you know, get to know them to the same degree that they've gotten to know me through studying all of this stuff that I've shared. And so, I don't know. I'm still not clear what to do with that yet, but I know I have to figure it out because I used to feel a lot of obligation to devote a lot of time to those people, and then I realized that's what was making me afraid to put more stuff out because I was afraid that I wouldn't have time if more people then became interested in my music. And so I don't want to be afraid of people liking me, and I don't want to be afraid of open sharing. And I don't want to be afraid of people gushing at me, and I don't want to be afraid of people telling me that I changed their lives or that I wasn't trying to diminish it there. It's just weird to say that about yourself, but even to make a point. So I don't want to be afraid of that. I want to allow whatever occurs. And if people need to build me up in some way, then I'm already aware from my childhood experiences that other people are going to be just hell-bent on tearing me down. Because that's just, things getting lopsided is not good for anyone. I don't know. Maybe you could argue that that's true with the light and the dark, but I just don't know. The world's confusing. Love you all. Thank you for being humans on this planet at the same time as me.